Hello everyone. Sorry I'm a bit late. I had to rearrange everything a little bit. But I looked at how my mood was and I figured just a short chatting stream today. Just the week's taken a good bit out of me because of course it has. Just stuff at work. This is how things are. So either way, how y'all doing? Cause at the moment I'm just like looking to like maybe goof and gum or like talk about something funny. It's been rough. Yeah. Just that case in point because like I did a double yesterday and I walked in to ask something else, like about something else, and my supervisor and manager and the morning person who worked it's a dietary shift, and they all kind of looked at me, and the girl who worked the dietary shift was like, hey, and I was like, huh? I'm trying to figure out OBS. Hi, Easy, how you doing? But yeah, she was like, hey. So it was like, so, and I was like, I'm going to forget what I wanted to ask, aren't I? And then she said, like, so can you work tonight? And I was like, what? And then when I was with our other dietary, she was still out sick. She wasn't doing well the other day. And so I was glad she stayed home because I guess she already called out before and they didn't get the chance to sort it out at the time. But either they said, hey, Roll, could you work tonight possibly? I literally stared into space. You could see the static behind my eyes. I know you can. I know you could in the moment. And I just was like, yeah, I got nothing else to do. Sure. Because the shift I was already working was able to blend easily enough into it. But I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything else. And it's just what I guess was so time consuming from it was or at least exhausting. Time consuming. It's work, of course it is. But what was so exhausting about it was like the morning dietary. It's like she looked between the three of us because my manager she threw her hat in as if I couldn't, then she and my supervisor were talking about it among themselves. Who'd do it? You know, take over the shift because we're short-staffed as is. And I know I've said it many times, but now we seriously are. It's like all over again. Because, like I said, one of my coworkers is out having just had her baby. And thankfully things went well, but it's still the fact of that, you know, we're short. Now we're really short. And the way she looked between us, I was like, she does not want to do double, does she? Because, like, I've done many doubles, and trust me, it's beneficial to the work docket. But it's like, it's when you're shifty eyeing between you and your coworkers, it's like, I was just sitting there like, really, woman? Really? Because she's younger than me, which I know some people would say is like, well, she probably likes going and goofing and gone more. I'm like, and I'm an adult who refused to grow up mentally. You think? You think I that I don't have things I want to be doing? I wanted to come home and like make some rough sketches to possibly draw for stream. I could still do it like later when the mood strikes, because I was like, do I want to be in a chatty mood or do I want to be in a art mood? And my brain was like, chatty it is. So, cowabunga, I will do it later. I'll try to make, some kind of idea. But, still, it's still that fact that I was like, seriously? It's like, it was just that moment of like, she did not want to be the cool coworker in that moment. So I was like, you know what, I'll be a Chad. The static between my eyes spelled out, you have nothing better to do. Because I really, to a degree, didn't. Any errands I had to run was done Wednesday. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But it's also because the dietary who couldn't come in because she's one of the cool coworkers as well. I was like, I got her back. I don't know what this girl's deal is, but I got the one who can't come in's back. Hey, you should get your hours. Just sucks that we don't have much food. We have food. It's just in boxes and cans. And not very good to eat night after night after night. But we're alive. I mean, even then, like, it's just, like, the fact that, like, yeah, it's good for the docket. It's just the fact of, like, even then, it's like, you didn't want to help, exactly. That's what grinds my gears about it. Because it makes the shift more exhausting to think, like, we could have, like, an even share of who does double shifts, and I think the only double she's ever had to work was because I had to stream that day. I had stream plans and everything alongside other errands to run before. And she said she wasn't feeling good, like something in you, I don't know what it was, but like, she asked like, hey, could you take over? And I was like, I got stuff I gotta do. And, cause otherwise I would've, but it's also the fact that she's a bit flaky, I guess. Like, it's just, I guess to me, it's that, I'm 25, I've worked there for 6 years, like, since I struggled to get a job fresh out of high school because of where I live. You actually kind of have to know someone, and then I found out, oh, the hospital I work at, in the kitchen, the cafe of, they just completely are, you don't have to know somebody just to get a job there. It helps, but you could get hired without any connections. You just have to have a good reference sheet in terms of, oh, I have experience working with chicken or making salads. Because if you already were in the food industry, that was a foot in the door for you, essentially, where I worked. I had cooking class, which I did enjoy in high school. We got to make Toll House cookies. Like, every week we had to make a dessert, and we had to write out a list and everything, which is nice. But I guess it's just a fact of, like, I did grow up, but not out of my own childish, hyperfixative ways. That it's like, that's why it feels so taxing to me. Yeah, I always wanted cooking class. Yeah, they didn't have it when you were in school, did they? Either way. Actually, you know what, speaking on cooking class, just what's funny is, like, my brain just went back to, like, yeah, I remember when you made the cookies and the Kool-Aid, because that was just, like, that was the funnest class I had out of my entire high school year, because you got to cook, and it was a practical skill. Because what's funny is that classroom was also, home ec. I just never got it, home economics class. Home economics was a good class, it's just, for some reason it focused more on running a daycare. Again, it was a good practical class, but it was like, how many of us are going to potentially go running a daycare, though? Then they changed it to food, the food sciences, cooking, and I was like, sign me the fuck up. I'm like, finally, the class I wanted before I got into high school. Then I found out last minute they changed it, so that was fun. It's still that fact. Just, we got to make cake, we got to make cookies, we got to pick a Kool-Aid flavor, and blue raspberry was the best. I also found out, cause normally, here's a hot take, I'm pretty sure, when it comes to Kool-Aid or other juice, powder flavors, I don't like tropical punch. I just don't, as a flavor, I don't. But the funniest thing is, like, one time, like, because we got to suggest a flavor amongst our group and vote on it, and majority rules won. And one day it was tropical punch. I'm like, it's a group thing, to suck it up. It's just one little snack meal with with a flavor I didn't like for a drink. But I don't know what one of the girls in my group did, because it actually wasn't bad. I really liked it, because my guess is it was either watered down a bit, or it was a bit more sugar to combat the twang to it. Because here's the deal. I like lemons. I like certain sour foods. Like, well, lemons are just like my top tier of like, I will eat the pulp from a lemon. What other flavors were there, if you can remember? We just thought of a Kool-Aid flavor and was like, hey, what about orange? No. What about lemonade? No. Blue raspberry? Okay, maybe. Cherry? Maybe. It all depended on the mood I guess we all had at the moment. And like, it just, that day Tropical Punch won. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, yeah. Yeah, but like, I was okay with the other ones. It wasn't bad, but Tropical Punch I've never liked until, I don't know what it was. Like, more sugar was added, and because of the twanginess, it didn't taste too sweet. Or again, maybe they didn't add too much to it. Like, because otherwise, it was flavorful. It had the right color. It didn't seem like it was underbinded or anything. Because I know you're supposed to dump the whole packet in there and then add the hot water. So I'm not quite sure exactly what happened. Hawaiian Punch is really hit or miss. This wasn't Hawaiian Punch. This was Tropical Punch flavored drink powder. As far as the Kool-Aid flavors go. But again, I never quite understood that day. I was like they had to have made this differently. Because every other time I've had Tropical Punch, it wasn't good. I didn't like it. And I'm not saying it's bad as a flavor, it was just something that I didn't like. As same difference. Yeah, but that's the thing. Then years later, because Riven, I know you saw it with me, Food Theory showed Tropical Punch actually isn't stuck to a specific recipe. It all depends on what you want, let alone as of appearance, because if you want that bright red, you add cherry or other red fruits, like especially pomegranate. But cherry is the most desired as of a red flavor, especially people love cherry, just cherry flavor. But Tropical Punch can actually be any mixture of fruit you want. And like, cause they mix different fruit flavor juices together, like all kinds of different ones in different mixtures. And not only have they gotten like actual different colors of juice, but it was actually also the simple fact of like, they essentially got the same flavor. And they even looked at the nutritional facts and found out the use of fruit wasn't always the same, especially given what was on the box. It was very inconsistent. But I was like, I mean, you're still getting your fruit, your fruit juice. But it's okay, she just don't want to leave you hanging. You're fine, dear. I'm just trying to get over the monotony that was this week, because I already had to do the whole shebang with the doctor. And that actually reminds me, if I have to suddenly pause because my phone's ringing, depending on if it's just a spam call or not, if it's a proper number, then I'm gonna have to take the call, because I'm actually still waiting for a call from the said hospital I work at. Of the joys and conveniences of working in a hospital. I literally could just hop skip next door from the department I work at to get a CT scan on my chest, because pain that I've been having in my shoulder blade, I was afraid it was something else possibly, but I was like, no, it's probably just muscle strain. Just need to go to the doctor and maybe get a note in case the pain does not go away, so I could rest a bit, as much as I didn't want to. I already took an extra day off to see Battlelands. I was like, look, that was the only sacrifice to my time I wanted to make. I didn't want this crap. And I went, and it kind of got away. You know, if I breathed deeply, I still felt it. And my doctor was like, hey, by the way, do you still have your gallbladder? I was like, yeah. Yeah, I still have it. Why? And she was like, well, that might be what it is, because she asked if I had certain symptoms. I was like, Yeah, it's just I told her I hadn't had any fever or anything, but I had the pain up in my ribs and shoulder blade. And then she was like, well, you see, gallbladders can cause an issue. And I even told her about how I had literal hunger pains. And even she said, yeah, that was unusual. But gallbladders could also cause it. At least a gallbladder going bad. Like, my elbow still stings from where, because they took a blood sample to see from my blood's perspective if my gallbladder is deciding to throw a tantrum or something. But I'm waiting for a CT scan to see if it was just a muscular issue, and then there's the fact that they want to sonogram my gallbladder, which I never thought I'd see the day of getting to do. So, because I remember what a gallbladder does. It makes the acid in your stomach. But apparently if it goes bad or you start having stones, apparently it causes a lot of issues, or it could cause a plethora of issues. And for some reason you can feel them in your shoulder blades, which threw me for a loop. So who knows? I might be having gallbladder issues at 25. Do you feel any better, by the way? I mean, for now, I do. It's just, like I said, I have a sting in my arm because my veins wanted to be absolute jerks to the very sweet lady who was taking my blood. Because that's the thing, like, she's a great, phleboologist. Yeah, I was trying to remember what kind of doctor takes your blood. She's a phleboologist. She's very good at what she does. She is very sweet, too. It's like, she really is. And keep in mind, the doctor's office I go to has, yes, general practitioning, but also the main doctor who's, like, his name's, like, the biggest on the sign. He does mostly internal medicine, which just makes this even more ironic. They deal with a lot of older people. A lot of older people. My stepdad and my mom go there, and my stepdad, with how fragile he is, he needs somebody who will have great profession in it, and he's literally the best person in the county. I think, let alone our state. Either way, very good doctor at what he does. It's just that factor of, like, it's just, I don't know why my veins in my arm wanted to be a jerk, but they did. But we also got the sample, so they can suck it up. My veins can suck it up. I still have a bit of a bruise just because it wanted to throw that big of a tantrum. But either way. Either way, like, that sort of thing aside, it's just, I'm waiting on that phone call. From what I've heard from my manager who's seen the rigmarole the most, I think they have a bit of a waiting list, so I might be at the bottom. So, like, they said they need to see me again in 2 weeks, so I guess that's why. It's just that hopefully within that span of 2 weeks, they actually see me to do the whole scan thing. Either way. It's just, I told my folks I'd let them know what they say is wrong, though I don't think I'm gonna hear what it is till my doctor's visit. Because another part of the rigmarole is that I am trying to mentally prepare myself for hearing I have an issue with my gallbladder, and then my folks, especially my stepdad, saying, "What do you mean you have an issue? You're 25." When, like, organs can go bad on a random basis, or just have a tantrum. But of course my diet's heavily into count as well, because I don't eat very well. It's just that case in point fact, still. It's just, I do eat quite a bit of fried foods. I'm sorry, I'm just a sucker for fried chicken nuggets. Fried breaded nuggets. But Tyson nuggets baked in the oven's very delicious. But yeah, it's just, my diet's not the best, but of course, on the budget I have, essentially, because of my bills, who's to say I have that exact kind of freedom, per se? Plus, you're trying to get you to eat healthier. I know you are. But it's like, just getting rid of your vegetables is such a pain. I don't even know why. I know, it's trying to make them tastier, but I don't know why. I guess I'm just a sucker for junk food. That's all my brain can think on. I'm just a sucker for it. Either way. Regardless, I guess some like more lighthearted news for a fact is I can't say I never knew that the Kindle app was free. Like, to get the books, it isn't, but because I was looking on Amazon and I was like, man, I wish I could get the Predator omnibuses. They are so cool, but they're like $40-something. I think one of them's $50, and I was like, this is malarkey. I have the 2 Alien vs Predator omnibuses. I have the second one right here because I was reading it. One of my favorite stories with Big Mama and Karen Delacroix. Just super awesome, super cool. But I looked and I was just like, dang, this is ridiculous. Oh, but then I saw like, oh, but on as a Kindle version, this was like $12 or something. I think the main volume 1, I think it's only, they only have 2 volumes, sadly, on the Kindle version. But they're packed full of different comics, like holy shit. They are so full of different ones. And I was like, oh man, really? And I looked and I found out you just have to worry about buying the books. And a lot of them are far cheaper than they would be in person. I could get the entirety of Archie vs Predator 2, which I recommend if you ever get the chance to see anything from it. It's actually really, really funny. Really fun crossover too. But it's just still a case in point fact. Like, I could get the whole sequel to that story. And I think it only costs like $16. I think it does. I'm not picking up my phone to look. It needs to charge. The only reason I'm picking up my phone is if I have that phone call. But cause yeah, they have a lot of different comics on there. One of the ones I've been wanting is Predator Kills the Marvel Universe, and I could buy either each issue that's released so far for around $6. But I don't know if eventually they're gonna release the whole thing as one big thing, because the last 2 aren't coming out within, I think one of them's coming out in a few days of this month, and the other one's not coming out till December. And I'm like, I am willing to wait for like the coolest of comics. I am willing to wait, because it's, plus as an artist, you gotta take your time because the art's phenomenal. I love it so much. And I'm not the biggest Marvel DC fan either. Like, I know some bits and pieces, but it's just a fact of like, I tend to find it more digestible when it's crossed over with franchises I really like. And because I finally looked into Judge Dredd after having the Incubus for quite a while. Yeah, that's not too bad though. It isn't. I mean, I was able to get War of the Worlds, the one with the Carrera tripods illustrations, for only 99¢, plus tax of course. But I was like, heck yeah, I've always wanted a paperback version of this, or just something to be able to read it with, because I've heard it read to me on Spotify, which was really fun to do, because I, like, just draw, kind of turn my brain off and listen. And I found out I'm able to actually picture things read to me as a book and draw at the same time. I really was. And it just, to me, it was fun. Just looking back, I was like, man, that was actually so much fun. I might need to do that again someday. But I don't know what book on Spotify to listen to. I thought about listening to the prequel book for the Predator movie, the one that came out in 2018. I know that one sucked. I liked it enough. But to me it was fun to imagine things that were spoken and then be drawing something else completely different. I think, yeah, while I was listening to War of the Worlds, I was drawing Telos and Emma's newer character sheet. Yeah, I was drawing it because I was like, art fights around the corner. Might want to get that done. So, cause yeah, it was like, it was sometime in May, I think. I was listening to it. But just by having it read to me, I was like, damn, that's a good story. Like, cause I already like it, cause like people I think know more of the Spielberg version, but it just isn't the same as what is described as the other thing. Like, currently alive right now. That's good. um, it's just a case in point fact that essentially just it's just picturing a different time period than what you usually get to see, because nowadays it's far more modernly interpreted. But to actually stop and go back into what time the story originally happens in, it's like, it's not only refreshing, but it's so fun, especially because of just hearing the narrator describe how the marshes sounded, because he was like, oh, and I was like, dude, my live stream's picking up your live stream. Is it now? Huh. But either way. But yeah, I found out that I could get some of the books I've really been wanting for a long time. I need to see if I can get if I can get some of my Mega Man stuff on it, because I have Mega Man comics I really love in person and paper. I want to see if I can possibly get them on the Kindle app, maybe. Because could you follow me real quick just to see if the notification works? I might later. It's just a test. It's just, I don't want to be clipping too much around on my computer. just plus, I don't know how long you're gonna be live for, because I thought about streaming for only an hour. I wanted to at least jibber jaw a little bit just to lighten my mood for the most part of how this week was, because again, work sapped everything out of me for this week. But I'll do it in a bit. But right now, just try to focus on topic, really. But it's just that case in point fact still. I feel like I need to look through my books to try to see where there's possibly a digital version I could get. Because then I can try to build up more of a reading list, because I don't know if I'd be able to I think if they're already downloaded, then you can read them anywhere, can't you? Cuz I'm trying to think, if I can, then that'll make double shifts at work a lot less monotonous. Cuz yeah, I got Predators to reserve, and that one was funny to see. It's like, oh, Royce Isabel, still getting along, because last I heard, only Isabel came back to Earth. Dutch went after the Yacha. You gotta love Royce. His hard-headedness, determination. Of course, to me that movie was a hoot as is. But it's still that fact. I need to look and see, especially because there might be some old books I remember having when I was little, at least. Possibly on there? I don't know. Cause I remember I tried looking for, like, one of them. I can't remember which one it was, because I was trying to pass time at work. And it wasn't there. So I'm not quite sure. But it's still just that fact. Oh yeah, something I sent it to my mom. I told her, like, hey, I want to see if I can get this for my window. What it is that it's essentially a window sticker, but it goes over the whole window, and I think y'all might have seen this. It covers the whole window, and it's supposed to block, like, UV rays and stuff, but let natural light in still. And it's like, it has a stained glass design on it, and it, like, it has like rainbow stuff on it, and I was like, I didn't know I wanted that until I saw it. How much is this? And I went looking, and there are various ones. But it's an idea. It's an idea on something. Because I haven't really changed the decorations in my room since I first moved out. My desk and computer are the newest things. They are. Because otherwise, my books essentially have remained in the same order and everything. Because I put them right back where I had them. Just everything's essentially been the same. And I feel like it would definitely spice things up a little bit more. Because, again, just my room's bland. Far blander than it was when I still lived with my folks. But they had so many different kinds. Some that looked like vines. Like, there was one that had like a raven design. Like, howdy brain rot, how you doing? It's a short stream today because I'm just trying to get over the monotony and stuff that was work this week, alongside other issues. But either way, just goofing and gomming, trying to at least feel a little bit lighter spirits before the weekend. Because I don't even think I'm doing much in terms of next week either. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm doing. I feel you there. Just doing. Just doing. But either way. I will say in terms of some art ideas to maybe glaze over, at least, because like I said, I wanted to make rough sketches to potential art stream until I decided, no, I'd rather just do a just chatting stream today, and work decided to say no as a fate, because of course I ended up having to pull a double because a coworker didn't want to possibly share their load. Or share the load, I think is the better wording. But one of the things I thought of was maybe draw different, like, ideas of, like, say, different startles as, like, different animals I really like, possibly. Basically, like, with Telos, how he's moth-themed, but have others as, like, different other animals. Because I definitely have been considering doing one with, like, a sea bunny design. I definitely have been considering that one. But, that sounds fun. Yeah, it does sound fun, because, like, there's just been a few I've been thinking of. Sea Bunny is one of them. But, it's still just that case in point. Just, it's just something I've been thinking of. I thought of drawing, another thing, like, it was with Telos, but it was just a scene that I have been having in mind for the longest time with Gino and Mallow. Maybe Gaz would be there? I'm torn between who all's there, but Gino's definitely there. But it would be essentially if they met Telos and it's like they run into him on his farm and it's just like, hey, what are you doing around my apple tree? I thought of drawing that, at least making a rough sketch of it, seeing how I thought of it. But it's an idea. It is one. Plus, it's just the fact of actually like drawing something outside of it, because I was trying to write before my phone died during my double yesterday. I was trying to work more on surface pressure. Cause I've figured out a bit of a conversation. Get off my lawn. Tell probably Jafar down. At least you got Jafar down, at least. Get off my lawn, tell us maybe. That's the funny part thinking about it, actually. Talos probably wouldn't mind if you were on his lawn. Just don't go frolicking through his crops. Especially his honeydew. Don't do that. That's like one of his favorites. Just one thing I especially thought of was drawing Telos or Amma making bread. Just because I especially have been thinking about trying to pick up that hobby because it's cooking. cooking's needed to just carry on with life. Because I tried picking up crocheting, but because of work and other stuff, like, I just couldn't really keep up the hobby. Meanwhile, things like felting, I was able to pick up and learn to do long before, because I have the supplies, I have them in my closet, but I need to get more. But I could felt a doll if I wanted to. I could felt a little doll. I would just need to get the materials first. But crocheting, I wanted to try crocheting or learning how to. I even got a wooble, one of those little wooble things to learn, and because of work I never picked it up. And I was like, oh no, I want to draw instead. I want to do this, I want to do that. And of course I wanted to do streaming instead as well. But I don't have a camera thing to where I could try doing it live either to learn how to crochet. But if anything, I'd probably be better off trying to learn how to just stitch cloth together and make a doll myself. I have the materials for that lying around here and there. I've wanted to do it for a while, but it's just having to make the room, having to make the time. You have to buy the crops first. Yeah, then you can frolic among the crops. then you can do it. Beforehand, no. But again, it was something I've been thinking of possibly, because I know if I got a camera to where I could do it like live, learn the crochet or something live, it'd be fun. It'd be cute, or at least felt. But I mean, I'd have to deal with poking my finger a lot, because felting involves poking your finger a lot. Either way, just different little things, just like I think about that I want to do. And then there's just a factor of, I know if I try learning how to make bread, it'll be something I'm probably more incentivized to pick up and remember, simply because it's food. It's learning how to make your own food. Plus it would just be nicer. I found out you can make potato bread using instant potato flakes. But it's just the fact of, because, like, you can do it, like, with instant potato flakes. You just have to make the potatoes to the box and find a good potato recipe. Honestly, having Telos baking sounds like something he'd do, and, like, crocheting. Did you mean crocheting? Can you crochet with moth silk yarn? See, Telos, I've long pictured him and Emma doing that, because yes, I did, yeah. Yeah, crocheting is spelled very funny. It really is. But yeah, I've pictured him and Emma crocheting or knitting plenty. Or at least learning how. And it's because they can produce silk from their wrists. They can. It's a power that they can just do. And it's a French word, right? I think it is. It might be. But, just, they would have the needles, get it started, and just go from there. Just because. Like, but because of their moths, like, especially because he has a lot of silk moths. And most, some moths, they do make silk cocoons. Like, outside of being the normal silk moths. But silk moths are just more renowned for having silk cocoons. And when his babies, little caterpillar babies pupate, he, like, he cares for them and everything, makes sure that that everything's clean, because these are his little caterpillar babies. Everything must be perfect for them. And when they emerge, that's when he does something with the silk, because he's raising them into adults and then cares for them as adults as well. So when they have the silk cocoons and the threads, they're just lying around doing who knows what, and he actually takes them and he can turn them into silk for use with other things. Essentially, you may as well just put it through a loom, because from there you can just because I've seen how looms work essentially, or like how they make yarn. You take the strands and you curl it through the twirly-cue thing, mahoozer. I don't know what you call it, but it has bristles like a brush, and from there you just spin it through like a certain thing, and it becomes thread. And from there you can use it to sew, or in terms of grander spirals, make yarn. Like the little yarn wheel. Yeah, that! If he had the right equipment, he could just make big spools of thread. And I've imagined him just doing it by hand, like knowing how to do it by hand, but a yarn wheel would probably speed it up more. But there's a lot of things I picture Tellus doing with his moths that essentially would be him, like, just being able to make stuff by hand, or stuff that he could sell outside of produce. Because he already keeps enough for himself and his moths to eat, but any left over he shares or sells. And thread would definitely be something he'd sell, because it's like, it's moth silk. Who's going to really turn it down exactly? Especially if it's thread. Thread is very useful for a lot of things. And I don't just mean like sewing up cloth. It's useful for a lot. And he would actually, he'd actually be like, especially in like the Star Warrior program, he'd especially like pass it around and share it. Like, especially for anybody who might need it, anybody who sews or knits for fun, he wouldn't be afraid to do it, because it's like making friends, and he just has to get through the comfort zone of he's afraid, he's in his little bubble. But once it gets past it, he does all kinds of stuff that you would say seem uncharacteristic, but really it's just his personality. I mean, yeah, exactly. Because that's one thing about him. At first he's shy, he's cold, secluded, closed off, but you make that crack and you start seeing what he's really like, because what he's really like is he's actually very warm in his personality. Like, as a Zatar, he's mischievous, but he's very warm, very sweet. Cause I kept having an idea of, with Firecracker, when he trains with Firecracker in the AU, that he just takes to Firecracker so fast by means of just like how like fiery, just like up in spirit and everything that Firecracker is. Tellus can't help but like just literally just, yeah, I guess you could say be charmed by that, to where he feels more at ease, he doesn't feel so nervous, and he quickly becomes friends with Firecracker. And like from that day forward, he calls Firecracker by a certain nickname, and that's Woolly Bear. Because woolly bears, if you've ever seen one, they are so cute. They're a type of caterpillar. Not every moth caterpillar looks like a proper woolly bear, but the woolly bear caterpillars, when you look at one, you typically think of the orange banded woolly bear when you see one, and they turn into the Isabelle tiger moth. But woolly bears are actually any fluffy caterpillar that turn into butterflies. Not butterflies, moths. I mean, I think you could technically apply it to butterflies too. I'm not quite sure. But he would call Firecracker Woolly Bear because it's an endearing term. And Tellus is not afraid to use bug terms, as we've all seen. He's not afraid to use bug humor, bug terms for people, and that's a sign of endearment. He sees you as another member of his eclipse. It's not out of character. I'm just revealing what my character actually is. Yeah, you dig past that tough exterior, that tough, cold exterior, just like the glass body he inhabits. Actually, no, it's more fragile. Either way, you get past it. It's a bit of a 180. Wonder what bug nickname he gives Esme. Woolly Bear is one of the ones he resorts to for everyone. Like, he will, but he'll call like different people Junebug and stuff like that. It really depends. I might have to go through his notes and put down who would he call what, because Woolly Bear is a default of endearment, because again, caterpillar, his caterpillars and moths mean everything to him. He puts you on a pedestal. He really cares big time. And I guess like some people would say that's especially the key to getting close to him is like get him to, you know, to be more comfortable, because then once he sees you as part of the eclipse, which like I don't know if people know, but an eclipse is a flock of moths. That's what a bunch of moths are called. Literally an eclipse. And it's essentially just that case in point of it's just he goes through it and everything. Just essentially adopts people. Yeah, makes sense. I stopped streaming. Like, I mean, it's just a test. What's best is to see is if your mic works and everything. But it's just I can't really do other stuff while I'm streaming right now. But either way, I don't know why my cheeks are feeling red. They just are. I had to tell my folks about that because they were like, "Why is your face so red?" I'm like, "It just happens. I don't know why. I just feel warm. Just feel warm for some reason." Either way, just literal sudden warmth to the side. I don't know what that is about. But yeah, I think some people would say Woolly Bear is a nickname that means he's adopted you. Because I thought about Talos having a bit of an animal instinct-ish like trait to him somehow. And that's just one of the things about him, because he can already smell people from 7 miles away. And like, that's not a joke. Mods can actually do that. Mods can smell people from that far away. But I have fun moth facts. But essentially it's just, that's one thing I've thought about with him, is just he, in terms of found family, it's like he essentially adopts people. And it's like, even if you're just his friend, he's still like, yeah, but they're part of the eclipse, they're family. And it just makes me think all the more about when he actually gets with Rune. Because yeah, funny thing is that in a fic I've been kind of working on here and there. You're remembered by Eclipse? No, we're getting soft tacos later. Hey, like, depending on what's in the tacos, tell us to pack those away. Oh, and I need to draw something with that. That's what I need to do a rough sketch of. I thought about asking about it as a coffee to like Nutty or Misty. I thought about it, but it's like someone's reaction to tell us just pulling stuff out of a settee. Because he just, it's a pocket space. It just is. He could just push stuff in, pull it out. He could pull a whole stick out of the fluff around his neck, and everyone would be like, how did you do that? And he goes, oh, it just happens. A bunch of stuff gets stuck in there. I need to comb it out. Cause yeah, in Smile Garden, his moths snuggle in there when he falls asleep in the woods, cause it's cold out. And when Willow finds them, they ask, oh, where's all your mods? I thought they normally follow you around. And Telos looks at him and goes, oh yeah, I know where they are. Give me a minute. Reaches into his fluff and pulls them out one after the other. And I literally described it like a clown car situation. Because it was just a bunch of moths, sleepy little moths, just being pulled out of the fluff around his neck. Bet you though, he had to reach behind him at some point, because somewhere it was like back there. One day he pulls the line of handkerchiefs out of his fluff. I can see him doing that. Oh wait, I remember we've talked about that in the chat. It was the camp doing stuff for kids, like for Halloween. If they had a magic show, and Telus just did that, and all the kids were just bewildered. So like at the end, I guess especially if it was for Halloween, it was like just something like a little bucket of candy or something, like, and who wants a treat? As odd as it sounds, it would be something I think would be cute. At least funny. At least people would find comedic. But, it's still just that fact. I feel like I need to draw that. Just him either just pulling stuff out and people just looking at him like, what the hell? And then just having that moment of like not him brushing it, like trying to clean it out. And there's just like rocks, sticks. There's probably a leaf in there from like 5 years ago. I've thought about his sete space having a bit of a bag of holding level of like time preservation. But I don't know if that sounds a bit too overpowered, because then that would mean he could store like a sandwich for a week and then just pull it out and eat it. That just doesn't sound right. And I work with food for a living, so I can honestly say that wouldn't sound right. But it would be funny. But, I mean, he would store at least maybe properly preserved food, like jams and jellies in there, probably. If not fruit bark. I guess he'd love fruit bark, yeah. But it's still that fact. Just again, different ideas, like just having him do different stuff. Yeah, maybe not, but it would be good side stories. I've been thinking of doing that, just writing little stories. Just writing little stories that, like, these may or may not make sense. But I made them with the intention of being cute or funny. Because, yeah, I made Wishing Well. And it was, like, based on an art prompt. It was a little art prompt thing. I finished a PNG tuber. I'm gonna tell you now, just like deciding on PNG tubers to make is hard, because I've been debating back and forth on making a PNG tuber of Telos for the past couple of weeks. I have really been waiting back and forth on it. Like, I'll see it in a bit. It ain't canon, but it's for fun. Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, another thing I've been thinking of doing back and forth this week. Yeah, do it. I'll do it after stream. Oh. But like, I've been thinking of like making a game only scene or screen for my OBS setup. Because my main screen, it goes good for art, but it's like, for games, it's like not the greatest. And Celestial has told me this, and I keep forgetting, and I'm just thinking about, moving like my desk and everything down, like on the screen down. So then it's like, Shrubby's seated a bit out of the way, and then having the rest of it just, you know, be there, because that's one thing he said he thinks was the issue with when I first streamed Minecraft. It was like with the screen flickering, was that it's like you're trying to display on such a small thing when it's just this whole screen. That or OBS was just being a jerk. I don't know. But it's still that fact. It's still that whole fact of the matter that it could be both. Most likely it was both. Because last I looked, The Sims 4, it seemed to be fine. It really did. Because that's the thing. I do want to get a controller for certain games, especially like, Another Crusade. Because from what I looked, it's still going to be on sale by the time I get paid proper. But it's still just that fact. Because I know I'm gonna probably want bigger screens for stuff like that, most likely. And just have like a little chat box somewhere, and then just like have Shrubby or Telos somewhere on the screen as well. Because that's just something I've been thinking of doing, especially was, because I especially want to do something really, really cool for when Art Fight comes around. Because last Art Fight earlier this year, my first ever Art Fight, It looks fun, but I'm not sure I could get it before the sale ends. Yeah, because there was a good few games that came on sale and then went off sale, and I was like, why must timing be this way? Because Predator Hunting Grounds, I could have gotten for $5, and the whole Yautja edition of the game, which was like all the DLCs, or at least most of them, and I'm like, I could have had like the whole game and everything for like not too much, because the Yautja edition, whoo, that's like $70 something, 70 something bucks. I don't think I want to buy immediately. Like, I want all my Sims 4 stuff back, and they went and added a few more kits. I'm not even joking. Why do they do this? Like, because like I could get the kits, not too big of an issue, but it's like, wait, I'm trying to get all my stuff back, and y'all keep releasing things. They said that they're gonna be waiting on doing another expansion pack soon or later, and then I think the company that bought them out immediately backtracked on that. I'm not sure, but apparently they were getting an announcement at some point. I'm not sure, but it's still that case in point fact. Just, I'm already trying to get all my Sims 4 stuff back, because then I can actually play with some of my Sims proper. Because, surely, I already had all the packs I needed for her. Because, once you get all the packs, you start putting in them, like, building things with all sorts of stuff, putting them in all kinds of outfits with stuff from different packs, and you don't stop and realize it till you go to, like, oh, save lot, save sim. Wow, that's a long list of packs. I think Telos alone used basically every pack I had on Xbox. And that was plus a free update. That gave like it was the cutest of Pride stuff, and it was demisexual themed. It was shorts, but they had like a demisexual flag colored star on stuff on it. And I was like, oh, that is so cute. And he's demi-bi, and I was like, this is a must. And then I realized, like, yeah, if it's a base game thing, I don't have to worry about it. But if it's a pack, now I do, and it's just a lot. I could easily just, because if I go to put him in game, it's gonna say, oh, you don't have all the packs for this character. Like, game, I know. I'm like, cause I'd either have to make do with what I have or not, but it's just there's some outfits he has that, like, I'd rather not make do with, because his signature outfit, casual outfit, is like shorts, oversized shirt tied at the waist with a hoodie, and a black beanie instead of his normal cap. And it's supposed to be like a band shirt of his favorite band. I could do a doodle of like his favorite bands, especially the Red Caps, because that is his absolute favorite band. Like, you mention their name and he just peers around the corner like, hey, we talking about them? Yeah, long scroll rolling out the room gag. Yeah. That's what The Sims has become. The Sims 4 has become as of DLC. Just, you open it, and it rolls out. Rolls out of the room. I think on the notification I got at work saying, oh, we released it on Twitter, and I was like, why? Two new kits, why? It's literally a modern design, like interior design kit, and then this outdoor greenery design kit. And I was like, I'm all for more decorations involving bringing nature inside or enhancing possibly living purely outside. But why? Why now? I don't think I'm ever gonna catch a break until I eventually do get them all. And that's the thing, I'd have to get lucky for some of them to go on sale so soon. Because, it's just, you can get an expansion pack, a stuff pack, and a game pack for like $30-something. But that's not looking at the kits, because there's a lot of kits. But either way, I mean, I'll have to work up to it, I guess. I'll get there eventually. One of these days I will get to it eventually. Who knows? But regardless of that, it's still that simple fact of like, I think I could possibly do, at some point in time, at some point. But, essentially, the whole fact of the matter remains is that I could draw concepts for, who are Telos' favorite bands. Cause he has a funny mixture in terms of taste of music. Like, he's not very much of a pop person, unless the songs absolutely slap. Then he likes certain pop songs. He's okay with classical-ish. Not the biggest fan, really. It's like, it really has to be a good one. But, Emma, she loves classical. She loves it. It's just a fact of, like, he mostly is, like, heavy metal rock, but he also likes folk music. And there's only certain songs from other genres he actually likes. It's, like, very oddly specific. And his playlist on Spotify that I made actually reflects that a lot. Cause, like, I changed it on his battle theme. I was like, yeah, you know what? It's, like, no, I'm not really feeling it, really. Like, having stepped back and looked. And I changed it to different ones, and I was like, yeah, this is more him. This is a lot more him. Same with Emma, and it's, like, the most folk, folk song, probably even Tavern Brawlish theme you could imagine. Like, actually upbeat battle theme. I think even for the moth form, I think it's very upbeat, actually. It's just like, because, like, I would think, yeah, Telos is very good in combat. Like, unlike, like, he hides it at first, but he's actually pretty good. But it's not, it's that he mostly, I guess, like, from a game perspective, I like to think you would, if you got into a fight with Telos, it would be more for as a fun spar than it would be out of actual danger. To where it would kind of be, a good way to picture it is, if you remember the theme for your rivals in Pokemon Black and White, it was, to me, that was the cutest battle theme for a rival in any of the Pokemon games, because it's upbeat, it's peppy, it's so darn cute, because it's just a friendly battle between you and your two best friends. And, I think it's, his name began with a C. I can't remember. Tezen? I think that was his name. And Bianca. I remember Bianca. But it was actually a friendly battle between them. It was a lot like, Pokemon X and Y. Charon! There you go! Yeah, Charon. Charon and Bianca. They actually were, like, it was a friendly battle like X and Y, but I just love Black and White's rival theme. It was so cute. And that's how I see Telos's most of the time. It's actually a friendly spar more than it is an actual battle. But when he gets into an actual battle, that's when it would change, especially. Esme's taste in music is something along to breakcore. Might be surprising considering the theater's love for more live music. I don't think I've heard of breakcore before. Whenever I go looking on stuff with Spotify, I see things for like otacore, but I've never looked into it. I think otacore is like more anime music, isn't it? I'm not quite sure. But, oh yeah, another good, battle theme idea in terms of Telos. I think it might be on his playlist, I'm not sure. Veltrum has covers of it, and it was the battle theme for the gym leaders in Sword and Shield, which, if I remember right, people, especially from Riven, people say that was, like, the best thing to come out of that game, was the gym battle theme. But it's still that case of point fact, like, it's more upbeat and everything. It's not overly serious, and especially when you get down to the wire, it's even less serious. It's more exciting and everything. But just I liked stepping back and looking at Telos and Amma from more of a game design perspective, because like I was like, who would they honestly be in a game? And I was like, they probably would be background characters. I'm not gonna lie, but they're not upset to be at all, because yeah, it's hilarious. They're like they're with Rune, but at the same time, it's not to a degree of like this is weird. Because they actually have a they actually have like proper story for how did they meet, how did they get together in terms of like actual lore between them. But it's still that case in point. Like might be my favorite example of breakcore is Nero's Day at Disneyland. I've heard that. I don't know. I think it's just in my liked songs. I'm not sure, but I've heard it. And if that's what breakcore is, just as an example song, then I think I know what to expect with that. Because it's like, it's all over the place, but it's such a good all over the place. But it's just, I guess it scratches the ADHD part of my brain. But I definitely do see Esme listening to that dude. Like, yeah. Like, again, it's just the fact of I do see Esme listening to that, and what's funny is like I do see Telos listen or hearing, at least part of Nero's Day at Disneyland going, this is something fun to listen to, and I don't know why. Oh, the cutest thing just got into my head. It's like if they hear a song that they like, the mods, they just do like what's essentially their version of the Get Stick Bugged dance. But that's because they can't dance otherwise. They can't do much. They can't do much. Just they're little nubbins of legs. So it's just they just side to side, side to side. Because I mean, otherwise they vibrate when they're excited, when they're afraid. Like they rarely get angry. Well, no, my bad. Actually, they get angry with Telos. They get angry with him. Because of how he is, sometimes how he acts. Just... That's another thing that definitely skates with his mods. They call Cap. They call Cap all the time when he goes, oh no, things are fine. I keep forgetting I have a star doll that's made of liquid metal. I mean, like, Telos and Amma... Rillis and Roaster, and like they essentially haunt my mind while I'm at work, because it's always something better to think about. Hecate is always looming in the background though, like he is the complete daddy is looming in the background in case one of his kids falls and scrapes their knee. But I have nothing but adorable stuff to think about with Hecate. Just so adorable, so sweet. Just he's a total dad. That's all he is a dad. Yeah. Hey, Esme, what song is this? Oh, it's Stretched to Linen Over Contorted Body. What's worse, why do I see Telos has nothing alarming to see in that title? He's just like, oh, that's cool. Telos is funny. He's just funny. But it's still that case in point fact. Just because I will say Roaster has the most dramatic playlist ever though. Where Telos just goes between folk songs type style, but you're about to cut an Irish jig kind of music to like, are we at a Metallica concert or what? But but it's still just that fact. Weird title. Well, Esme is the daughter of the horror Sparkla. Yeah, it is. I was like, you made a song. I don't think I could write music. I don't think I have the talent for it. I know if I ever made something like a game, I'd have to make music. But I don't know if I could. I mean... I don't know. Do things like RPG Maker have a thing for making music, or would you have to make it in a separate program? Because otherwise, I'm not very sure. Yeah, I couldn't either. Yeah, I'm afraid I'd be a bit too tone deaf, like way too tone deaf or something. But then again, even then, of all the games I had in mind, because like I said, one of them I thought about being like, again, an idea of like you're tending to your own mental health by doing certain tasks that are like metaphors for actually self-care, taking care of yourself, and just not letting the darkness get you. You know, don't become another Kingdom Hearts incident. But I have RPG Maker and there isn't a music maker. Yeah, because I had a feeling. It's just that I don't know what I'd possibly get to use for that. The other idea though I've had for a game, it's it's essentially a it was something I had in high school. And I've mentioned in one thing that I've thought of bringing it back because I thought of severely remaking it as an RPG, possibly because I built it like an RPG idea. I tried doing it as a webcomic at one point, but just life got in the way all of a sudden because I started working and everything, so I couldn't continue it very far past where I had already had it. Um, but essentially it was like because I still love Plague Doctors, but I was extremely into them back in the day, back when I was like in like just out of high school. I was into them when I was still in high school. What am I talking about? And what it is that um it's like it was essentially you play as a plague doctor. His name was Gray, and he essentially was supposed to be a yeah, Birds of Plague, right? Yeah, that that old story concept that I never really got very far with making because I looked back at it because I saw old stuff for it like on my thing, and I was like, huh, I have not touched this in forever. Because I looked at it and I was like, this could really be like, this could really be something better looking back at it now. Especially in terms of from a game perspective. Because the way I had things at first was a little convoluted, a little complicated. But looking back, I think I could really figure something else out. It's like, yeah, oh, that's a fun title. It's like, yeah, I figured it'd be a pretty fun idea, given it is based around not just plague doctors, but it's in a fantasy world riddled with disease. It wouldn't be a zombie genre game, though zombies would definitely have a place in it somewhere out there. But, essentially, I can see what it is that, from what I've basically thought about, just from stepping back and looking at it, you play as Gray, and you do get, side characters, which is essentially your party. Cause, he has an assistant, he gets a nurse assistant, and he ends up taking in the assistant of his, it was his boyfriend, I believe. It was so long I can't remember his name, but his boyfriend goes missing and they go looking for him in this big RPG adventure, helping people as they go, trying to avoid catching disease, slaying monsters, and that was essentially the biggest synopsis up to a big plot twist, essentially, about the society they live in. And one thing I especially thought of was like, there are a lot of different kinds of doctors, plague doctors that I have in that world, and I'm like, some of them, as cool as some of them sounded, I was like, they don't really have a place that makes sense. And then I was like, you know what would make sense actually? Is if in terms of an RPG, these were like class level ups, or like, it's kind of like with D&D, how when you first pick a class, like say you are a paladin, and that just makes this whole metaphor even funnier, you pick paladin. But you pick paladin, and then you reach level 3. Now you have different oaths, or subclasses, as they're actually called, to pick from. And Crow is essentially, like, every plague doctor at first starts off as essentially a crow. And from there you diverge into what you essentially want to be, and things like, say you wanted to be like a dove, which you become like the equivalent of a white mage, but doves essentially work as nurses, because essentially they worked as different, all the different doctor types worked as different forms of containment and treatment for say a massive, you know, incident like a disease outbreak happens. And so you had containment, you had curing, helping people, you had just tending to patients, all kinds of different things. And like, that's why I looked back and I saw, like, you know, that one doesn't really make sense to have. Because I thought about some more corrupted, evil-esque versions, but I thought about them possibly being enemy types, because that's the only way, like, because they were called Grackle and Swan, and those are the only ways those made sense. Because they were like a sick, twisted version or mockery of, like, mostly the crow and the dove. Infected doctors. Yeah, probably. I might be putting another Stardoll, but this was the first one. He was so legendary that his story got to Disney Hercules treatment. The poor Legend of Hercules. Don't get me wrong, that movie was great. It really was, but just knowing the original legend, it's like, this is so cuddly. This is too cutesy for what I know. But yeah, that actually, if anything, would make for a very good art practice. Getting back, because the way I drew the plague masks, I know in terms of fitting on the face, probably wasn't that great. But I think though I did pretty good in terms of drawing bird masks and everything. But may I borrow your Darkles, Sparklers, and other Princess Peach Showtime related OCs? Depends, why? Just, my brain's off in another place, and I'm trying to also keep an eye on how dark it's getting. I think I have maybe like 10, no, maybe 5 more minutes. It's encroaching upon 6. I might have 5 more minutes before it gets too dark for my liking. It's nothing bad. No, I know, it's just... It's trying to also measure the daylight outside. I don't think I've put references for Roaster and Drama anywhere else besides Art Fight. I don't think I have. So if you wanted to look at them, you'd have to go into Art Fight. Well, I do have my Be Right Back screen, but that's just for Roaster. Roaster and Rillis when he gets a new outfit. They're just doing performance of Zero's legendary life. You know, because like most legends are tragedies, Drama would make a play like that, probably. I mean, if you want, you could give it a shot. Just, again, you'd have to go to Art Fight for the reference sheets, because I don't think I've posted them anywhere else. Yeah, like, they're in the notes. They're in the AU, sheet. But otherwise, I've only posted them to Art Fight. Yeah, I think I only remember posting them there. Yeah, why not upload them to Blue Sky? I just didn't think about it. Plus, I was like, these are more AU-specific characters, so I really didn't see much of a point. But I still wanted them on Art Fight, because they're still OCs. That actually makes me think. Should I go and do, references to, like, for Gray in them? Because I thought of taking my Axum Ranger OCs and archiving them. Like, copy and paste their, bios and stuff in, Google Docs so I didn't lose them. And just archiving them. Because that's what I've thought of doing. Just, I figured it might be more better. That's the end of the playlist. Let me go pick out a new one real quick. Yeah, you can. Yeah, because that's just something I've thought of. Um, let's go video game music for going on a grand adventure. Is something else to listen to for the meantime. But yeah, because I thought of definitely giving them a better redesign. Because I put Flora on there. I need to fix Poppy's sheet the rest of the way. I thought about putting Tinto and Reaper on there, but I don't think there's many people who draw Yautja on there. I'm not sure. Like, I know some people have their Yautja OCs, but I don't think there's many of them on Art Fight. I just don't think they'd be very popular, essentially. Because, like, I just feel like my Mario characters are a bit more interesting, to a degree. Because Reaper and Tinto are OCs of mine, but it's like, I just don't write about them very much, but it's like, I definitely put them in different things. I need to probably start writing about them, just so that it's just some fun stuff. But either way. Because I do think, Gray and them would probably fit well enough on my art fight. They'd look nicer on my ID card, too. Yeah, so who is Zero again? It's one of Z's OCs. I'm trying to remember exactly where I remember seeing stuff for them, because I remember there was like stuff they shared with Miss D's streams that I got to look at. But work's got in the way so far, like so much, I forget so many things. Well, that's not the call I was expecting, but... Be right back, my brother is calling me. Hey, yo, what's up? I get scared of here. Howdy, yeah. My brother had some important questions to ask, but it's all good. I'm fine. Hopefully laughing doesn't trigger another asthma attack, because I remember when it first did that. And now I have my inhaler beside me at all times. Oh boy. But all is good, all is well. I don't even remember what I was talking about before. But looking through the chat really quick, I see a genie Stardoll. That would be very interesting, though. I forgot as well. It's no biggie. It's no biggie at all. I think it had something to do with Birds of Plague. The Birds of Plague idea I had, but I might just have to sketch those out to try to think on them, because I would like to map that all back out. Let alone, I think what would be nice is if I did revisit the comic, possibly, because it's been a long time, and I know that story needs some major polishing, and I think if I did dig up some old, pages for it, I could probably ask, like, I could put it on Blue Sky, say, hey, do y'all think maybe I could possibly redo this? Because I left it off at a point where basically things you could say kind of got interesting, but it's at the same time I need to change it back to just chatting. I need to see about that. Like, hey, do y'all think it would be interesting to revisit this old ass concept? Because I think it would be nice. It'd be nice, but it's like, but it would take some time for definite to like just do all the scenes. But I mean, with the little tricks I know on my art app, I think it wouldn't be too terrible. It would probably be pretty fun. Just redesign the characters at first, and then go from there in terms of it, because like I said, if I did ever make it a game, I can see it potentially, especially the comic being, oh, but what lore-wise would Gray actually pick as he leveled up in terms of a class? In terms of a character class. Yeah, that reminds me, character class. A phoenix. Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit. It could be considered dead. It's been years. I think I started it in 2018, and then when I started working in 2019, I couldn't go far from there. So yeah, it's pretty dead. Yeah, I did it on Webtoon. Yeah, I did it on Webtoon. So, essentially redoing it again would be very good idea. But it's still just that fact. Cause yeah, Gray, I made him how too simple. Smite, essentially, yeah, Smite. Can I control that from my phone? Trying to see. Try to figure out. Yeah, it's just like, I'm trying to figure out who exactly. It's like, I don't know how exactly to do it. I'm gonna have to figure it out. If Celestial was here, he would have swooped in and gotten to deal with it. I need to figure out how to ban someone up front because the bots every time. But I don't think they'll go anytime soon. Either way. But the Phoenix, I remember, from just how the comic was, how I had it planned, essentially the Phoenixes were like these grander, powerful beings. Essentially a Plague Doctor ascended somehow to having cleric-like powers from D&D. And I think since it would step into the mythical, essentially, yeah, there were mythical beings. There were dwarves, there were elves in the world I had planned for it. So actually, yes, some doctor, some types of doctors might still fit, but only under certain conditions could they be unlocked. I realize how Final Fantasy XIV it sounds. I really do. Yeah, I realize how Final Fantasy XIV it sounds, but I could see it only makes sense that way. Like, yeah, Swan and Grackle could be twisted enemy versions of a crow and a dove, but Phoenixes I can see can only be a type of doctor class that is unlocked from another type of from a mythical species. Like, say maybe you interacted with elves. A side quest for the main character to ascend. Pretty much. Oh, I realized something funny. That would be really funny, but would probably fit. You guys know, the little bird that goes, meep, meep, meep. I know Riven knows that bird, because that's like one of my favorite birds of all time. If that was... It sounds familiar. Woodcock. Yeah, it was that one. It was the American woodcock. It just sits there. Meep. 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 I love that bird. It's so cute. Yeah, trying to think if I did make that a type of plague doctor. All the ways you could run away with that. It would be so funny. It would make for a funny, like, meme or April Fool's joke. Most likely. But, that would be funny. Cause yeah, looking through, I had the crow. You tried to make it a D&D class too. Yeah, the Kliniken. I did. But looking back, oh, it needs some TLC and work in progress. Some major work over it. It really does. But what it is that, we had the crow, you had the dove, the raven, which was like a more souped up crow. What bird are you? Wood. Meep. Excuse me? I'm sorry, my brain read it as, like, instead of beep, it's like, meep. It's like, part of me? But, from those three, you had the vulture, then there was the cardinal, the owl, there was, I think it was the sparrow, who did, it was like specimen collection. Like, they went looking for rats, and tried to see, are you carrying the plague? See, as a D&D class, you were able to essentially throw rats at enemies. You essentially could, like, whatever specimens you collected, you could throw them, but you had to take a turn to get it back, if you wanted it back. So you could just throw rats and then spend your next turn trying to catch the rat again. You see where I cast cheat. But what's worse is, You know that's what happened. You know that's essentially the case in point of what happens if you played as that. But yeah, after the sparrow was the pigeon. The pigeon, I don't exactly remember what they did, but they definitely transferred, like, information to each other. You could say they were like the mail carrier of plague doctors, but they carried test results, transferred specimens from one place to another. I'm trying to remember. There was the penguin, but the penguin was a bit more. The penguin, hilariously, I remember, was a villainous type of plague doctor for, like, part of the plot twist, the grand plot twist. But I can see they are used for something else nowadays. Trying to remember if there was anything else. Wait, there was an orange one. What did I call it? Oh no, wait, there was a purple one called the Heron. The Herons. But what were the orange ones? Oh yes, the Batman villain to Evil Doctor. I mean, not that penguin, but you get me. One of them might be limping. We don't know. might have had like a bad accident out in the field. We don't know. I really don't remember. What were the orange ones? Wait, no. Weren't they hawks? I think they were called hawks. Because I know there was the bluebirds. There were bluebirds. Because, like, they had a blue outfit, but the front had orange coloring to it because I was like, you know what, bluebirds live a lot around where I live. Why not make one based after the bluebirds? So, along with, like, the cardinals. Because I could have gone blue jay, but I was like, no, I like bluebirds more. The outfit stands out better. But yeah, I would really have to work these things out. Like, because technically speaking, the masks could be different from not just character to character, but from type of doctor to type of doctor. It definitely could. Because, like, when it came to Gray and his boyfriend and the other characters, the other crows that there were, I definitely tried to at least give some ways of telling different characters apart, and one of them was by the brim of their hat. Some of them had colored ribbons around their hat, and Gray's was literally just a gray band around his hat, but his boyfriend's had a rainbow ribbon. And, what I especially thought of was that, when it came to, I just now remembered who his boyfriend's assistant's name was. It was Eli. Yeah, it was Eli. He had a green ribbon that when he became a doctor, he wanted to tie around his own hat. It was just a little way of, I'm trying to fix my legs around. It was just a way of differentiating them, because I knew with a mask and everything, their faces were covered. How were you going to tell who was who? It was like, accessories. That's how. Was the boyfriend's name Prism? No, it wasn't. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I know I had it somewhere. I know I did. I might have to check on my phone, because I think I have a document for it on my phone. Cause that's the thing, if I can find it again, then I could definitely redraw the characters back out and everything. Cause that to me would be an epic art stream. I would probably take a long time on that stream just to get the characters drawn out again. Because I know my art style probably hasn't changed much since then, but I know it's gotten better. I've gotten a bit better at drawing different things. Hands are still a work in progress. Forever work in progress with hands. Cause yeah, I think I do have some of the pages on my, I think I do have some of the pages on my, phone. I could definitely share them. I struggle with shoes. I found a very funny hack for shoes. Essentially, depending on how you want the foot to be facing, draw a funny rectangle. A rectangle that curves, like, in one of the biggest art tips I can forever give. I can't stop and stand not to share it. But I mean, if you don't have a little mannequin, that's fine. Because I have one somewhere. I think it's somewhere on my shelf. I don't know. I don't quite remember. um, I remember always trying to, like, pose my own, like, say a character was holding something, and I was trying to think, okay, well, how would they hold it? Like, I would literally, like, say someone was holding a sword, I would pretend I was holding a round object around, like, the width of a sword's, hilt, and I would turn my knuckles towards me to see, okay, depending on the angle, how would it look? And yes, even if it looked funny, Rivet could testify I've done this. And I would just sit there, like, curving my arm and everything, but to where I'm looking at my hand. Like, how do my fingers curve? How would my hand shape exactly? And it actually would help a bit. It works really well. That's the funny part. It does. And I would even do it, like, with my foot, trying to figure out with shoes. Or think for a moment, because the reason why I say make a funny rectangle is when you're wearing shoes, if it makes any sense, depending on how detailed the shoes are, you're going to be drawing a lot of detail. But in terms of a pose, your shoes are actually going to be a lot more amorphous in shape than your foot. As funny as it sounds, because think about it, with your foot, you got your angles with your bones, your ankle. Depending on how realistic your art style is, you're definitely going to be drawing flexes in the muscles of your foot. Because I know I definitely have very noticeable bends in the bones of my foot. Not that I broke my foot, but like indentions where the muscles are, and where your tarsals and metatarsals move. And from there's just drawing toes. There's just, which sometimes they're splayed, sometimes they're not. It depends on what you're drawing. But shoes, you could just make a funny fluid rectangle. Because I tend to draw a funny rectangle to where it's like, I make room for a heel if the boot has a heel, or the shoe has a heel. And I draw essentially, okay, how thick is it? How thin is it? How long is it? And from there try to think, okay, well, how would their foot be positioned due to the heel? To where it slopes a bit and kind of has a bit of a box where the toe is. But then it goes flat and goes sloping back up. And otherwise, I tend to do that like as if they were barefooted, and when they're, because I call the roughest of sketches bones. I call it the bones. Because it's literally the whole structure of the entire drawing that you're working with. And then from there, you make your rough sketch, and the bones help actually set the pose, which is why I tend to call them the bones, especially because then you can also call it a bare bones drawing, because that's what I wanted to try drawing at some point or another. Just draw some bare bones sketches that I could work on a later stream, especially given I do have my new work schedule. I could try to fit in an art stream somewhere. And if I do stuff for Birds of Plague, I know I'm probably going to want to do it on a day that I'm off, because I'm probably going to make that a very long stream, probably. Yeah, I finished the thing. What is the thing? I struggled with limbs, like, I'm trying to redesign Harl's Darkle form, and I'm having issues deciding how I want their arms to be positioned, and the length never feels right. Yeah, that's one thing for fact about it. One good thing I would say to definitely think of is essentially where's the character's hips, because even Toads, like with their style in the Mario world, when you look, like where they are, because yeah, you see where their shoes connect to the body, yeah, but where they are, like where their hands end, which is like right at the end of their little coats, their little vests, that essentially, as far as what my mind reads, is where their hips are, essentially. Because arms, unless it's a Guado from Final Fantasy X, your arms go down to about your hip. And Origlatorian from Bionicle, The Legend Reborn, they have arms that would make a bugbear blush. Just long. they'd be good basketball players, not gonna lie. Um, but it's still just that fact. Just that's one thing I've always done. Like, when in doubt, look at the proportions of your own body. But because of how my art style is, I know I would draw them with a more human-like structure, more, like, I guess some people would say elongated, less chibi and cute. Because look at Celeste. She's definitely far more human-like in design instead of cutesy chibi. But that's how I've found a way to properly draw toads. And then with Drama Darkla, Theets, she's yeah, like she is a Theet that's like, she would wear heels and everything, but it's just Celeste is taller. Like, Celeste, like, Sweet is tall. But Theets, I can see, are naturally shorter than toads. So they would be, so the thing is, like, yeah, like, the thing is that Theets have their arms held a bit away from them. Yeah, like, a bit to the side. Like, from there, I would say, imagine if their hand was at their side. Like, it sounds funny, but, like, one thing we've definitely had to learn when I was in art class in school was how when you like move your arm up, it's like at an arc, and it's like, just if say someone was holding their arm out to the side, imagine it at their, like, down, especially if their arm is straight out, move it down to where it would essentially be if you pulled it down from that arc. And that's one thing I've especially done. And I will say, especially, like, when it comes to drawing the hands of Theets, it saves me from drawing fingers. But it all the more makes it a little funny if they say they were pointing at something, because then you can kind of morph what looks like a glove to be, like, a bit of a point. But that's one of the biggest things I've noticed. Like, there's always funny little tricks that everybody learns for different things. And it's just fun. Mittens are great in some cases, yeah. Which is essentially what Drama has. They have mittens. But it's still just that fact. Just, that's one thing I've noticed is, like, and to me it's the greatest thing, is that people have different tips and tricks for how to draw things, to where you basically can try different things, and eventually it actually helps you unlock your own way of drawing it, because that's one thing my own folks have seen. Like, they say my art style is more anime-like and everything, but it's still that case in point fact that, it's also just the fact of, like, even they understood, like, oh, that's, you know, what someone's doing. What's funny is they always ask me about the characters themselves. My stepdad said that I need to stop drawing dolls and robots, and I'm like, no. Because those are just the artworks I've shown you. You don't know what other characters I draw. I draw a shrew. I have a shrew-sona. It's fun to give your OCs unconventional things, like a cloud office chair. Like, is it made of an actual cloud, or... It's like, a cloud office chair, though, would be lit. It'd be like a Lakitu. Like, that would be the neatest thing in the world. Have, like, a Lakitu cushion to sit on. There needs to be more dolls and robots. There is! Cause one thing I've especially thought of, like I mentioned before, I thought of drawing drawing ideas out with different Star and Zatar dolls, but based around different animals, like how Telos Emma's based on a moth. Is that just based them after different animals, they may, like, and I may find a better place for them in terms of lore if it's like, you know, neat exercise, but this looks like they could really be a character I could hold on to. Because, like, they look like they could have a history in terms of, like, I still need to work on story with, my own, like, Mario story that I was trying to work on. They would be a really cool character, or NPC. Because I think we all had canon that where there are Star Guardians in Mario's world, in Weapon World, there are their own Guardians. But who were they? Who would they be? Yeah, and Toads. I've been thinking about making one based on a snake charmer. Snake charmers have guts I can't even begin to comprehend. You're working with a cobra. Like, mad respect, because you're working with a very, very dangerous snake. Very pretty, very nice, snakes. But not ones I'd get close to, because dangerous. Plus, I like to think cobras might like their own personal space. I just do. They seem like personal space liking animals. But yeah, like, I definitely need to pick out some interesting animals, or like neat animals to base Star Dolls and Zatar Dolls off of. Cause that would be a very fun exercise. I can see Zatar's getting along with snakes. Snake. Big ol' snake. Oh, what'd be fun is if one was based on like a jellyfish. That'd be cute. Especially if they literally just floated everywhere, because I found out jellyfish do just not only float everywhere. Did you know they're actually like a type of overgrown plankton? Because that's what I found out. Like, it's a bit funny, but they're very related to plankton. And that's kind of why they don't have a brain. I think, at least. But, either way. Like, oh, that explains that. Yeah, it kind of does. I'm not gonna lie, I would also be more than happy to base a Star or Zatar off of a Predator figurine, because it's not a NECA figurine, but I do have one. And speaking of snakes, it's based off Snake, one of the Yautja from Predator 2. Like, he shows up only in the end of the movie, but he's very distinct when you, if you're a hyper fan like me, he's very distinct. Like a xenomorph. No, that's the alien, aliens. It's like xenomorphs. I'm like, my brain's trying not to get confused. Okay, the monster from Aliens, the xenomorph, Yautja, are what the alien race from the Predator franchise has been named. Like when I had Dex GIF up here, he's a Yautja. And I thought of basing one after a Yautja toy. And like, to me it'd be cute, especially if it's the fact that like their dreads are made of yarn, they're made of wood, but like they have claws. Because I would like to think would be funny is if the toy was literally made by the weapons and everything to be, yeah, it's a kid's toy, but it's dangerous. And it would literally echo a scene from Predator Badlands, like, that's a children's toy? Who plays with that? Yautja children. I don't even know what that toy was supposed to be, but it was Dex when he was little. And, and he tricks Descent into playing with it, or messing with it, and it just explodes. And that's what Thea's like, that's a children's toy? It's like, what kind of children play with that? And it's just, Yautja children. And I was like, yep, that sounds about right. What about one that's a DJ, a Startled DJ? I can see one being that, but part of me for some reason wants to think about what kind of animal they could possibly be based on to be a DJ. Like, combining the concept, to me it'd be pretty neat. Yeah, oh, every toy could be dangerous. Yep. Oh, yes, a live grenade, but for the whole family. No! No! I just remembered a toy, like, what toy y'all remembering? Because, discontinued toys. I'm remembering moon shoes. What's funny is I had a pair and I never really played with them. And then I found out they got discontinued for the exact reason you could imagine. Lawn darts. Oh no, you could drop an elk with those. I forgot what it's called, but you wind it up and it spins. There's a fairy toy. There was a fairy one, and then there's Beyblades. Atop that. Oh, so the fly fairies. You put it in the thing, you press the button, and it flies. The fairy. Yeah. Those, I remember they got discontinued because they kept smacking people in the face, which, what did you expect? Yo-Yo smack people in the face all the time, and I don't see yo-yos getting discontinued. They're just not a popular toy anymore. But yeah, like, those definitely, yeah, definitely not the most great of toys. And catching little girls' hair, yeah. Actually, that just reminds me of something. When I was little, my brother was playing with it was a remote control, it was air hogs. And that probably tells you how old this memory is. And he was playing with it inside, and he lost control of it, and it got caught in my hair. But here's the deal. I remember holding it. It was just a little styrofoam helicopter. But that shows you toys back in like the 90s, early 2000s, they were not the safest. They were not. I remember there was like a Cabbage Patch Kid. I remember seeing it could eat, but kids kept sticking their finger in its mouth, and it would bite their finger to where it hurt them bad. I had an Easy Bake Oven when I was little, and that was a fun memory with my mom and aunt. But I thankfully was not one of the kids who thought it would be a fun idea to stick my hand in the oven and got severely burned from it. But that's why those were discontinued, and then they brought them back, but with a completely different design. So it actually works now like more of a proper oven. It can't really work properly unless you close it. Which, thank goodness. You know, what if there was a Stardoll with a yo-yo weapon? That would be interesting. It makes me think of Smoky Quartz from what bit I've seen of Steven Universe. Cause, yeah, their weapon was a yo-yo. You know what's funny? Boomerangs and yo-yos used to be weapons. Hey, the yo-yo idea comes full circle. It does. They used to be. Didn't people used to be able to pull a scorpion with those? Just flare it out and then like yank it back the other direction? In which case, I can see where they definitely were weapons. Not really. Oh, dang. Do you know how cool that would have been? I'm pretty sure you do know. But that would have been so cool. Yo-yos are cool, though. They are. You're thinking of a rope dart. Oh. But it's still that fact. It's still the fact that, like, actually, technically speaking, if you tied the string tight enough, you could swing a yo-yo around and use it to bump people with endlessly. You could. It's just that, the yo-yo rope dart. No. No. These are all good weapons for OCs. I thought I was, like, very, very stunted in my idea of giving Telos just a scythe. And then there's just yo-yo rope dart. Oh, wait. Yo-yos are based on meteor hammers. Really? Have I seen a meteor hammer before? I don't remember if I have. But either way, this is just making me think if Telos, you gave him 2 rocks and let him use silk, he could make these things. And give him a fire power-up! Oh no! No! I already thought of drawing him under the influence of different power-ups. Then I realized he could get unbelievably creative. Just no. Oh, tell us, honey. No, don't do it. Emma's she wields a bell. What am I talking about? She wields a bell. It's a weight on the end of a long rope. They're used in martial arts mostly, especially now. Aren't yo-yos ancient? Like, from what I remember, they were like a very old thing. Unless they really are recent. Oh yeah, so... I'm just thinking, someone could technically get the title of being expert yo-yo wielder. Weapon of choice, yo-yo. Oh, my brain just had a very funny idea in terms of combat. Why? This would be D&D levels of something if you managed to roll high enough. Oh, when is the abyss gonna grow these? Wait, I, the gardener, have to grow these. They're old, but meteor hammers are older. Yeah, wait, I have to grow these. Yeah, Telos is the only gardener in the abyss, yeah. But, okay, y'all hear me out. Telos could do this with just a soak, but if someone had a yo-yo or a rope dart and they just flung it and to where it potentially wrapped around the top, like the back of a folding chair, pulled it, grabbed it in their hands, and slammed somebody with it. That would be the greatest of D&D takedowns. That would make Aerith in the Final Fantasy Remake proud, given she gave someone the chair. Because she legit gave someone the chair. But, I actually know I shouldn't be mentioning that because Celestial's gonna hear. He's gonna try doing that. Oh, and I wanted to do an Alien vs. Predator themed campaign. He's gonna try to pull that off and gobsmack an alien with a folding chair, isn't he? Actually, no, knowing him, he's gonna try a folding table. Will and Utani bake sale gone wrong. Can we normalize having OCs as folding chairs as weapons? Celestial, probably a steel chair. Yeah. It's like weapon of choice. Folding chair. You know what would be real aura farming is if someone had Nero's plastic chair. Or Nero, my bad. Pong. But imagine that though, if somebody had a folding chair as a weapon. And, and then it's like when battle is done, they just out of their inventory, out of nowhere, Virgil, that's it, pulls out the plastic lawn chair and just sits all proud, holding onto the folding chair like it's a sword, a great sword. Esme's weapon of choice, steel chair. Can't they form stuff out of sparkle? It's just out of nowhere. Just, if you've ever seen Noctis Lucius Callium's way of manifesting his weapons from his magical arsenal, just throws her hand to the side, manifests a folding chair. She can't, but picks chair because funny. I would think Esme could manifest a fire hose. Just put someone down like, alright, that's enough. Just the ideas of potential weapons for OCs is amazing. And what's worse is Smithy probably would have fully made weapon bots out of these ideas. Soda water bottles or newspaper. The newspaper has to smack people for being bad. like you'd smack a cat. Oh, manifest Windex. Just a clean a smudge. But that would be useful. That'd be very useful. Yes. I think I need to draw that with Rosie. Using their Darkle to manifest something. Cause I already need to draw their different outfits for the different Darkle and Sparkle, which would be fun. Actually, cause I know I have a very early shift, and I know time's gonna slip away from me fast. A quick idea. Well, I say quick, and it's gonna probably take 5 minutes to discuss it. For a tragic form, would you guys think Roaster and taking a form based after Madame Grape would be a good idea? Given drama's past with Madame Grape, at least. I think it'd have something to do with they kind of know how it works, like Windex ingredients. All Roaster knows is people sprayed the windows, wiped it down, all of a sudden glass is invisible. It's an invisible spray. Oh, that's not Windex, that's just invisible spray. Rosie would be imagining it wrong. Just sprayed out a park bench, and when people walk by, you're floating in midair. Oh boy. But yeah, that's something I've thought of. Would that make sense? A tragedy form based, or tragedy Darkle based on Madame Grape. So Madame M, that's from Final Fantasy. But that's something I've definitely thought about, because it would especially tie into, Drama's an overprotective parent. Drama despises anything to do with Madame Grape. And anything too on the nose, like obvious, you know, just sets Drama off. But like, they essentially get a golden mask and everything, essentially being a direct echo of Madame Grape. I mean, I kind of use Grape's design as Esme's design inspiration. Well, because that's the thing, where Drama would be more than okay with Esme, because Esme essentially, you could say, has that design, but took it as to their own twist. This would be like, essentially, Rosie would have, essentially, the pretty purple outfit, the jeweled gloves, like, a literal echo of, say, like, Madame Grape come to haunt Drama, but in the visage of their own child. And with different plays, I like to imagine if different people had different forms from the Sparklet, it's like, say, what kind of play of that genre would they be from? And with, Rosie, it's literally, like, most tragic, plays, you could say, are based around cautionary tales. And the biggest forms of tragedies are like Brother Grimm fairy tales. They did not always end very well. They sometimes ended very badly. And essentially the idea is that Rosie essentially dove too deep in something their father wanted to hide away. And their mother said, hey, don't look into it. You know how your father feels about this. Just don't worry about it. Rosie worried about it, and this is what ends up happening. And from there, it ends up being, essentially, this twisted form or mix between the two. Like, literally, a person Drama cares and worries about so much versus the person they absolutely despise. Yeah, Esme enified Grape. Rosie took her clothes. I mean, but it was an idea, because outside of that, I can see if it wasn't based on Grape, it was based on a different fairy tale. Again, a tragic tale. But I like to think with Rosie being naive, being the naive person they are, a cautionary tale would definitely fit that their tragic, darkle form the most. Because in Tales of Caution, it usually is about the person who did not heed a warning or do as they were told not to do, and they suffered a great consequence because of it, or they learned the hard way why you don't do that. and I feel like that would especially fit with Rosie. But it wouldn't have to be great because, again, a lot of fairy tales were cautionary tales. So it could definitely go a pretty long way. It could be a mix between different fairy tales. Because, yeah, I know Grape wanted to make the ultimate tragedy. But it could easily be a mix between different fairy tales if it wasn't just a play on Grape come to haunt drama. There's quite a few ways it can go with it, actually. Because one of the first things I thought of was Little Red Riding Hood, because that was not as cutesy a tale as people thought. I'd have to look at some of the ones that had the biggest messages in terms of naivety, like, to be careful. Or not to dive too deep into something people tell you, hey, don't do that. Thinking of the Greek myth of a man who led his wife out of the underworld but lost her when he looked back. Orpheus and Eurydice. Like, that's a very good one. That would indeed be a very good one. But would Rosie be Eurydice or Orpheus to a degree? Because yeah, with Realist, I like to think that their relationship seems, you could say it jokingly reeks of tragedy at first, when no, it's actually meant to be. It actually is. And it actually ends up being very, very sweet and wholesome, despite what people heard of the past from Amma about how Realist was. Because again, like, people would be worried, like, you know, yeah, he seems okay, but again, he has his moments of learning how to be better. But in the end, ends up being fine. Ends up being actually very nice. And it's that, and that's one thing I thought about, is essentially, like, and again, it's cautionary. It depends, I suppose. Yeah. Because Rosie could easily be a mix between the both of them. It's just that, I don't know if technically speaking, Realist could easily take the form of Eurydice, because having to guide Realist around everywhere. Because I've thought about his sight possibly getting worse. I thought about it just being plain bad because of, you know, and needing glasses to help fix it. But, of course, Realist may as well be, Velma without his glasses. But, it's still that fact. It's still something I'd have to sit on and think about. Yeah, there's horror and drama, but is there a comedy sparkler? I think comedy is something that can be found in any genre. Because it's funny, because I think if there was a sparkler who did comedy, it would be a stand-up comedian. Cause yeah, I think all the sparkler and even yeah, comedy is just a sparkle sprays. You just have them giving commentary, just like, hey, how you doing? Cute idea actually with the sparkle sprites. I thought of them. I can't remember her name. It's been a bit since I looked. The partner Peach has that is a sparkle sprite in the game. Stella. Yeah. Like, I did think if, Roaster and the other sprites had to leave their body, would they look like Stella? Just with different color, like, stars and ribbons. Like, I had to pick another playlist. I see War of the Worlds gameplay. One of these days, that game's gonna come out, and I'm going to play and stream it so much, and everyone's gonna watch me get blown up by a heat ray, and it's going to be awesome. Let's go for like night themes for pondering the universe. I've been thinking about making another action Darkle. I think action only goes so far as a genre. I think it does. This action is so encompassing of a genre. My brain's somewhere else. I'm just thinking somewhere else. It's so over encompassing of a genre that there's just so many movies that based in airplane fights. That's just John Wick. That's just John Wick. Trying to remember the newer one that came out with not 007, Mission Impossible. Cause that was in the trailer for fact. So yeah, those are just straight up action blockbusters. So yeah, that's just straight up action. Just plain all out. I've been thinking on Esme's sprite form, but I've been imagining her as being kind of messed up and asymmetrical. Spy Darko. And again, I think that's buying spy stuff is just an action. I mean, is 007 movies considered action? Because 007's the greatest spy. But Recruiters would have his helmet. Oh! I like to think Esme's would be a little asymmetrical. A little messed up. But it's in a good way. Just because it's unique and it sets all of them apart, essentially. Because I like to think, just like line them all up and you look at like how each of them have like their own little ribbons. Cause with Stella you can customize her ribbon. You can customize her ribbon in the game, but you can't change her star color. But to me, that would just be so cute. Just look at all the little ribbons and everything. Yeah, help the poor action Darkle. They have too many kids Darkles. Oh no. Yeah, she's a mix of Darkle and Sparkle. Yeah, that's what... Because that would be a really cool Starking parallel. Because, like, say like a deep purple ribbon, but also with a, like the normal blue teal, like what, Stella has. And then it's like for the ribbon, the actual bow tie, it flipped the pattern. To me, that would be just so cute. So, because it'd be almost like a checker pattern, but it would be so cute. Roaster, I really do want to put their design down in paper, because yeah, they do have their little brooch, but it's also that fact of just, it's just what they would look like, because I can see their star, the actual star pattern for their Darkle sprite form would be kind of similar to their doll's skin tone, which is like an off brackish purple, very very muddled purple, but still on a very lighter pastel scale, but having the dark ribbons. But I can see even then, if like just for the different sprites, like say they specialized in different genres, they had different color ribbons, like because it was like, oh, say this one was mostly like for Mighty, it was like a orange or a red. Just the possibilities, they're so cool, they're so cute. Alright, are you okay? Actually restraining two of the action Darkles. I haven't slept in 36 hours. No, please help me. And yet Telos deals with so many moths, and the only reason why he doesn't get any sleep is because of himself. Have you ever been told by a moth to go to bed? His moths are just... they're precious. But either way, just... Just looking at the time, I do want to be able to eat and is of before having to go to bed early, because I think if I'm gonna get a proper amount of sleep, unlike Talos, I need to be in bed by like at least a bit after 10, and I don't know how long it's gonna take to cook food. Granted, I've also imagined her dark hair having her darkle side. Yeah, her dark hair having her darkle side, having her hair spikes that they looked like they were snapped off. They weren't, they just never formed. And the top one having little shades floating above her like cowlicks. Oh, that'd be cute. There's a difference between mods and action and Darkles. What do you want to eat? I don't know yet, dear. Mods don't pick fights with each other for no reason. Oh, but they can be feisty as caterpillars. I've seen. But, I need to go talk with Riven about Dindins, so... So I'll cut the stream here. I need to sketch it at some point. You do. Or at least... Maybe if you're able to catch an art stream, we could bounce things off back and forth, because I really feel like I need to make a bunch of rough bone sketches and just pick and choose. But I'll see y'all later. Like, y'all take care of yourselves. Eat some better food than what I'm probably going to eat, because it might just be mac and cheese again. But I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good night.